All right, so here we are. I wasn't really expecting to make another video. Well, make a video about another candidate for the head coaching position. I was just waiting on the news to drop basically that either we hire Mike D'Antoni or Tyronn Lue because that was the two leading candidates for however long now, and I didn't think anybody else would become available. But we have Doc Rivers now available. Yesterday he was fired, of course, by the Clippers after blowing that 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets in the second round. And so now he's available, and the Sixers basically have shown interest in him. They were one of the first teams to call him yesterday after he was available. So let's talk about Doc Rivers. All right, so Doc Rivers as a head coach has done a lot more winning than losing. His record is 943, 681. So that's a lot of winning compared to the amount of L's. It's just a lot of winning, period. Um, he's won a championship with Boston in the 2007 through 8 season. He won a Coach of the Year award in 2000. Yeah, in the year 2000. And he was an All-Star game coach 2 times. Like that's not. I mean, that's something on your resume, but it's not something I don't think somebody really cares about. But he was an All-Star game head coach twice, and just one more little statistic, I guess. Uh, his teams has finished first in the conference 7 times. So he has been the first seed 7 times in his career, and that's pretty good. All right, so we already know the reason why Doc Rivers is fired. The 3-1 series that they blew against the Denver Nuggets in the second round, everyone knows. It was bad. That should have never happened with that team. And just, yeah, the talent on that team, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lou Williams, Montrez, that should have never happened. You're up 3-1, you have to finish that series out. Now, in my opinion, of course, he deserves blame in this because he's done it multiple times before. So at a point, it's obviously not just the players. It's definitely him because it's happened 3 times now with Doc Rivers. They've been up 3-1 and they cannot close it out. But as far as this series and this playoff run, where I believe the Clippers just, even when they beat the Mavericks, I believe they should have lost to the Mavericks. I believe if Kristaps didn't get hurt and just they didn't look that good against the Mavericks either. So this whole playoffs run series, whatever, I don't think it was really that. It was a good look for Doc. But to I guess back him up and support him, I don't think all the blame falls on him. Obviously, if you have a great player such as Kawhi Leonard, he takes a lot of that responsibility too, like how LeBron James does with every franchise he's been with, every team he's been with. Usually they look back on a coach, but a lot of it goes straight to LeBron. So I believe since people want to put Kawhi in that same category as LeBron, which I don't, but there's people that do, then he needs to be put in that same position too. So to me, a lot of this falls on Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Um, I believe that the team, not even just Kawhi and Paul George, Lou Williams, a lot of people, I don't feel like they wanted to be in the bubble. I don't feel like they wanted to play. Actually, they were one of the two teams that decided to skip the playoffs and not play. So basically, their hearts and their mind was not in the game of basketball. And I feel like that's what really hurt them. Even if Doc tried to fight them, push them back into that mindset, because I'm pretty sure he was in that mindset. They're grown men. You can't change a grown man's heart, for real. So that's the reason why I think they underachieved. Um, and they just didn't play like a Doc team usually does, besides when they're blowing 3-1 leads, but they usually play with a lot of grit and heart and determination. Like the team before Paul George and Kawhi came, when they were about, they were like 40 something, like 30. It was like 41, 34. They were the eighth seed. They made the playoffs. They fought with Golden State in that first round series, and they played with a lot of determination and grit. And people they overachieved last year. Nobody didn't think that they could do that and push Golden State as far as they did. So you would think, oh my goodness, they're adding Kawhi, Paul George. That's what people thought. This is a championship team. They definitely have to be the favorites. But for some reason, everyone on the team just they weren't. I don't think they wanted to play. So obviously they were up 3-1. You have to close out in one of those games. And all of those games, they had like 20-point leads and end up losing the fourth quarter. So, of course, you're going to blame that. The coach takes half of that blame because you have to close that game out no matter what, no matter how bad the players are, whatever. You have to find a way to close that game out. But they didn't. So let's just fast forward to Game 7. Should have never got there, but it got there. Game 7. Your two stars, Kawhi and Paul George, in the second half of Game 7, combined for 5 points. Now, I don't care who the coach is, whatever. You have two stars, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. In a Game 7, usually the game plan is get the ball in their hands. Your best players. Please tell me how between the two of them they combined for 5 points. I can't put that game on Doc Rivers. Maybe on the defensive side, I think you can. Like, as far as them just not knowing when to switch, if they were trapping, double teaming, and just like that pick and roll, they couldn't defend the pick and roll with Jokic and Jamal. So on that end, maybe with the defense, you can definitely put down Doc, because for them they were supposed to be one of the best perimeter defensive teams in the league, and I didn't see that the whole year. Never seen it once. But back to Kawhi and Paul George, they combined for 5 points in the second half. Kawhi shot 1 for 11. And it's not like he didn't get them the ball. I could say if they lose Game 7, and this is where you like really like look at the coach, like, what are you doing? Say they lose Game 7, and in the fourth quarter, the second half, whatever, Paul George and Kawhi don't get the ball. Like, just say somehow it's Lou Williams and Montrez the whole time, and Kawhi and Paul George are just sitting around. Then you'd be like, what the heck, Doc? You're like, why didn't you give Kawhi and PG the ball? No, they had the ball. Kawhi, 1 for 11. Paul George, 1 for 7. They were getting quality looks. Kawhi, the same shot that he usually gets, that pull-up mid-range, he got it so many times, and he could not make it. Paul George, I don't know. He was just out there, just missing everything. So Kawhi shot 0 for 4 from the three-point line. Kawhi shot 1 for 6. That's just bad. And then neither one of them attempted a free throw in the second half. You can be the coach and try to motivate your team as much as you want. But that, like, this performance right there from them two, that's just, I don't know. That's terrible. A coach is not going to make this stat line right here, 1 for 11, 1 for 7, no free throws in a closeout game. That is the player. The coach can yell, scream, try to motivate as much as they want. That is the player. If this is Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, the media would have blew up Ben and Joel. The media blew up Kawhi and Paul George too, but the media would have ate up Ben and Joel. If closeout game they do this, they would have. And Brett Brown, of course, he would have got blamed because Brett Brown always deserved blame. I'm sorry, but he did. But the media would have ate up Joel and Ben. So I believe that a lot of this, well, that Game 7 definitely, that falls so much more on the players than Doc to me. To me, it does. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm not. But to me, it does. So even through just all the 3-1 blows and just the underachieving that he's had throughout his career with the teams he's had, he does have a ring. He does win way more than he loses. And the Sixers, they just need to develop a winning culture. Even if it's not winning a ring next year or whatever, they just need to get to a second round, Game 7 good series again. Conference finals, like, just they need to develop winning. And he does that. All right, some people look at winning as winning a ring, but looking at his record, 943, 681, he wins. But what he would be able to bring to the Sixers is just that winning culture, that grittiness, and just I feel like he'll be hard on the players. He'll get them to play together, just like his teams usually does. It's just for some reason this year, and sometimes with that the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin team, which people already know Chris Paul rubs people sometimes the wrong way. He's not the greatest person to play with. And honestly, Kawhi might not be either because he's not very vocal. He doesn't speak. And he's just honestly not a leader. So two teams that kind of disappointed, you kind of got to look at the leader of those teams. Might not be the best. I don't know. But he would just bring grit, a winning culture, and just I think he would definitely keep Ben and Joel. If we hire Mike D'Antoni, he's going to want to trade one of them. Like, unless they've came to the agreement, Elton Brand told Mike, yeah, you can move anybody else on the roster except for Ben and Joel. Unless they came to that agreement, I don't know. Mike D'Antoni looks like he's going to want to, like, knowing his track record, he's probably going to want to move Joel. And I don't think that's what we should do. We keep those two together for as long as we can, and we run it back as many times as we can with them too. So, right now, I think Doc Rivers is the head coach right now. Like, in my opinion, I think he's the leading head coach for this team. I think the Sixers give him a call. They should give him that interview. And I think he's ahead of everybody. Ty Lue, he's great. He's respected too. I'm not going to say, well, he's respected around the league. And I believe he's a good coach. He's a good head coach. It's just that when you win with LeBron James, and I only seen you with LeBron James, and I haven't, like, your track record isn't really that long. I'd rather go with someone like Doc Rivers with a longer track record. Even with the 3-1 blows, he's been doing it for longer, more consistent, and he hasn't coached LeBron James. He's coached Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Chris Paul. He's coached great players, right? He's won with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, but he's lost with other teams. But I just think that the more experienced head coach is what's needed for the Sixers. The person that's been there the longest, the person that's dealt with a lot more star potential and just different teams, and just knows how to get everybody on the same page and play together with this definitely what this team needs. They need just cohesiveness, and I think Doc brings that to the table. I think he's the best coach out there right now for the job, and I think the Sixers should give him a job. They gave him a call already. Hopefully they give him an interview soon, and I hope honestly he signs unless someone else becomes available, Greg Popovich, which I doubt it. But right now, the three candidates, I believe he should be in first place right now. And that's it. So if y'all believe that Doc should be the head coach, drop a like. If y'all don't think he should, drop a dislike. And then comment down who y'all think should be the head coach and why. I don't care if you like or dislike. I just want to see the feedback. And obviously I want y'all to comment so we can have more talking and interactions. And, we just share our ideas and stuff. All right. Thank y'all.